This week we're talking about 7 habits that make my creative life flourish. There's a broad range of mindsets and tools that I want to share with you, so let's dive in. So habit number 1 is checking in and being honest with myself. So I try and do this regularly, and a way that I find works really well for me in finding a structure to do this is through regularly writing in my journal. And when I write in my journal, I don't necessarily want to focus on capturing what's happened during the day or using it as a record. I'm using it as a way to express myself and be completely 100% honest. And it doesn't always look pretty, and it certainly doesn't look atrocious either, but it's where I come to be very truthful and allow myself to express things that might be irking me in my life and I want to shift, or it might be about just a to-do list of things that need to happen. But I find journaling really supports my creative life in staying on track and moving towards the direction of my heart's desires. Habit number 2 is being kind to myself. As much as possible, I try and speak lovingly in my thoughts to myself. And if I start to catch myself falling into a very critical way of being, or I feel like I'm getting edgy, I'll ask Nick, what can I do for you right now to help you feel better in this situation? And if I pause and listen, invariably something will come up. And it might be have a nap, because quite often when you're tired, you get more self-critical. Or it could be, look, you know what, I really feel like having a beautiful new scarf. Or perhaps I just need to have a cup of tea and then carry on with my work, rather than pushing through and trying to force myself to do things when I'm obviously off center and out of balance. I will try and check in with myself and be kind to myself. So that's habit number 2. Habit number 3 is giving myself permission to change and adapt. Now, what I mean by that is through life we get information at different phases, and sometimes we can have made a commitment back at this point and said, say for example, I'm going to get up at 8 a.m. every morning or 6 a.m. every morning and do yoga for 30 minutes. And we're going to have our best intentions that we're going to be doing that, and it might serve us well for a period of time. But then circumstances in our life change and it's no longer serving our overall well-being. So instead of getting locked into these past commitments that we've made, I prefer to give myself permission to change and adapt, and always be checking in with what is currently going to be working best in my life to take me in the direction of my creative dreams. Number 4 is giving myself a sense of abundance. Now, we cover this in Flourish with Painting and Creativity in the first module because it's so fundamentally important. I've found that having a sense of abundance when it comes to art materials, or it comes to having enough hard drive space if I'm working on creative projects on the computer, is really key to being able to feel like you can experiment and play and push things around and see if things work. And if they don't work, it's not a huge loss, because it's not the only canvas that you have, and it's not the last little bit of space on your hard drive. The other way that I see it important to give myself a sense of abundance is I try and cultivate a sense of spaciousness in my life. And I mean spaciousness not necessarily in terms of expansive actual physical space, although that's nice. It's nice to have it uncluttered. I'm talking about mental space and about time as well. So not feeling that I need to be rushing everywhere. And that can mean simple tweaks in my routine, such as not bombarding myself with social media or with the news or with getting involved in stuff that is not really moving me towards what I actually desire to birth into the world. So creating a sense of abundance of your time means sometimes creating a sense of spaciousness as well, and by cutting things out that don't serve you. Now, the fifth habit is following my curiosities. And this is something that I highly recommend that you do. If you've got a little curiosity about a particular subject, it doesn't have to be a passion, but a curiosity, then by all means, do what you can to give yourself permission to go and investigate that and find out more about it. If you're curious about pilgrimage, which is what my current fascination is, then buy some books about pilgrims. Or if you're fascinated about patterns, then see if you can go down to your local fabric store and buy some offcuts and remnants of different patterned materials. Allowing myself to follow my curiosities has been one of the keys to sustaining and flourishing in my creative life. Now, number 6 is quite dear to my heart, and it's going with the flow. And this is all about tapping into the rhythms and the seasons in your life and giving yourself permission to not be productive all of the time. There's nothing in nature that we see that is fruiting constantly. It's not the way that the world works, and it's not the way that we work either. We need to have periods of recuperation, of rest, incubation, and then sprouting, and then flourishing, and then dropping our leaves and going back through that whole cycle again. So not getting stressed out when, oh my God, feels like the ideas have dried up, or I'm just not feeling motivated, I'm not feeling inspired to get down into the studio or to write or to do whatever it is that's going to move you forward. Don't freak out. I really believe it's important to honor the seasons and the rhythms in our creative life. And the more that we can allow ourselves to sink into that season that we're in, if it's a season of rest, then the more quickly and more naturally we're going to bounce back into a season of productivity and flourishing, outward flourishing. And finally, the 7th habit that has allowed me to flourish in my creative life is something I'm deeply, deeply passionate about, and that is cultivating presence in my life. So staying present to what is actually happening rather than getting caught up in my mind with all the regrets about things that might have happened in the past, or wanting to change stories about what might have gone wrong, or projecting into the future of coming up with fiascos and scenarios. Drawing myself back into the present and using my 5 senses to do so, which I'll talk about in another video, has been a real catalyst to being able to flourish in my creative life. So those are the 7 habits that I wanted to share with you today. I'd love to hear which of those resonated with you the most in the comments below. And I wish you a beautiful week. Remember to be kind to yourself and nurture your creativity. And I'll see you later. Bye.